Hi guys and welcome back to SwitchUp. Sorry we didn't have the sales video a couple of days ago. I was not feeling my best self, let's put it that way. As always, you can tell whether it's available in your region by the prices, and we try to highlight less known titles. Yes, all of the Square titles are on sale. Yes, you should buy Dragon's Dogma, but what about everything else? Well, let's find out. I must admit, after recently reviewing One Piece Pirate Warrior 4, I've become a bit of a fan of the series. And I just picked up One Piece Unlimited World Red, the Deluxe edition, which is 75% off for most of April, which is a bargain. It takes it down to about 13 quid. This action-adventure RPG can be enjoyed completely co-op with a friend, which is great. And while it's maybe not the best in the entire series, I've been enjoying it a lot, and for this price I would say you could go far wrong. Combat for the most part is good, and there's a decent little levelling up mechanic to the game. Overall, I mean, for the price they're asking, and the fact that it has that local drop-in co-op, if you're new to the series like me, or you've kind of been a little bit interest piqued, then check this one out. Next up then is the delightfully colourful Snake Pass. Now this is an interesting one because Glen really didn't enjoy it, but I absolutely loved it. Things to note with this game: 1, it looks beautiful, it uses the Unreal 4 engine, and 2, you need to change the controls straight away. You kind of use the R trigger to grip tightly and wrap around things, and there is a real skill to it. You have to collect different tokens throughout the level. If you get them all, then obviously you, much like traditional N64 adventure games, get the satisfying "I managed to find everything in the level but don't get much for it" feeling. Other than that, it's just a straightforward puzzle platformer, but I really like the movement here and I enjoyed it a lot. It doesn't have multiplayer, it is strictly single player, but for this price, with a sale ending on the 7th, I would suggest potentially picking it up if you like what you see. Then there's Flame in the Flood, the complete edition, which is 70% off. It describes itself as a wilderness survival game in which a girl and her dog travel on foot and by raft down a procedurally generated river. Now essentially that is the long and the short of it. One thing that I didn't overly enjoy about the title was how difficult it was to defeat enemies. It's only until you start to unlock some of the different craftable traps and things that you can actually do anything to mitigate some of the more irritating ones. But even then, it's a lovely experiential title. The sense of motion that the river provides and the different stops that you make on certain runs give it a sense of life, and I enjoyed it a lot. At 70% off, I mean, again, you can't really go too far wrong. Hats off to Curve Digital and American Fugitive. Now, when this launched, it had some issues. It was a good game, but performance just wasn't the way it should be. And since launch, they've not only patched it a number of times to bring performance up to par, they've also released a huge, and I mean huge, free DLC that adds a 6th star level, a load of new vehicles, a new plotline. It's brilliant. They've really done a great job. And it feels very classic GTA now. A worthwhile game picking up, and at this sale price, I mean, why wouldn't you? You play as an ex-convict in a small town, and through working with a close female confidant, will be fighting against cartels, the police, and pretty much everyone in between. There's a really interesting mechanic whereby you can pick your way into people's houses, and then there's a mini game to steal the items from within. I enjoyed this one a lot, but I enjoy it even more now that they've improved it so much. Taking heavy influence from another very well-known title, The Big Journey sees you rolling your way around some delightfully cute levels as you take on the role of Mr. Whiskers. It's a very easy to pick up and play title that has a number of expertly designed levels. It's cheap to start with, and at this sale price it's even cheaper. What I found with this one is it was perfect for my kids, but I'm not gonna lie, when I got my hands on it I got quite addicted. There are a number of hidden items, and secrets to find as you go throughout the game. It's not going to bust your brain, but it's certainly very relaxing to play. I enjoyed this one a lot.
When you wanna break the rules, when you're starting at the floor, when you're doing little more, when you're making cherry pie, when you're catching butterflies, when you're waiting for the bus, leave it all.
Thimbleweed Park, produced by Ron Gilbert and Gary Winnick, is probably one of the finest classic adventure titles we've seen across all platforms in recent years. Yes, it looks the way it looks, and if you're not familiar with games like Monkey Island, then it might just look bad to you. But the story writing, the delivery, and even the gameplay raise this well beyond many of its recent contemporaries. If you're at all interested in narrative-driven adventure titles, and you're not one to judge a book by its cover, even though I think this looks amazing, you'll get a lot of laughs, some amazing moments, and some quite tricky puzzles at times, in what I would call a modern classic adventure.
Calling the Federinos?
Was the money deposited into my account like we agreed?
I think it's time we came clean and told the truth about why we're in Thimbleweed Park.
You first.
What do you know about the Pillow Factory fire?
Whoa, now! Are the feds looking into this case?
No, he's just curious. He's a Pillow Factory fire buff. He's got a copy.
There's probably not a huge amount that I need to say about Hyper Light Drifter. It's a top-down ARPG adventure that also has some exploratory puzzling to it. It's running at 60 frames per second, and this version includes some new outfits to discover, as well as a few new weapons. It's one I need to go back to and finish, but after playing for about 3 or 4 hours, it's clear that it's an excellent title that takes inspiration from some of the best in the genre. I personally think this art style is beautiful, and really all I'd like to see, maybe with a sequel, is some form of co-op play. This sale goes on until the 9th. Next up for me then is Oninaki from Square Enix. Now, not many people really raved about this one. I quite enjoyed it. I reviewed it back in the day. The link will be down in the description. And it's certainly got its merits. It's a very interesting story whereby you almost act as the death police, because some people just can't move on after they've passed away, and so you have to cross over and help them do just that. It gets a touch long-winded towards the end, as so often is the case with these things, but I enjoyed the core combat as well, which takes an action RPG approach but allows for the use of guardian spirit abilities and forms. If I hadn't had to rush through it for the review, I think I'd have got a lot of time out of this one. It's not going to appeal to everyone, but yeah, go and check out that and see if it appeals to you. Next up then, we've got the ever delightful Cosmonauta from Cuba Interactive, and my little mate from Brazil. He messaged me and said, look, I'm cutting the price back down again for sale. Can I pay you to put it in your video? And I was like, what on earth are you on about? I'll put it in anyway, it's a decent game. And yeah, he said thanks, so that was nice. It's a very nice title, inspired by the likes of Jet Set Willy and other early classic games, but there's actually a lot of challenge here as well. For me, when it comes down to visuals, my core concern is always the gameplay, and it's here in bucket loads. I was reading quite recently actually something quite interesting, that apparently computer games are so addictive because no matter what the challenge is within the game, you always know that you can succeed at it, whereas obviously in real life that's not always the case. A small piece of totally useless information there, but yeah, Cosmonauta, decent game, and it's currently on sale. Last but not least then, before we look at a couple of games you should avoid like the plague, we have the Mercenaries SAGA Chronicles collection, which is 50% off. It's a classic turn-based strategy title, think things like Disgaea, and obviously with 3 games, you're looking at a serious amount of value for that price. In a weird way, the isometric perspective reminded me of early Breath of Fire games. Now the core gameplay isn't like that, but there's a certain charm to this style. I really enjoy it, with a huge amount to potentially do, and I believe there are other titles in this series that are currently on sale as well. This gets the SwitchUp recommendation for sure. Okay, so that's me done in terms of what you should buy. Let's have a little look at what you definitely shouldn't buy. And we're going to start off with Hollow. Now, Hollow looked amazing. I was thinking, wow, this looks like a bit of a Dead Space ripoff, which, to be honest, if done well, fantastic. Unfortunately, it had a number of game-breaking bugs at launch. These subsequently weren't cleared up, and when Glen went back to play it, it still crashed at the very last scene, which was ludicrous. Other than that, it just never lived up to its full potential. There are much better titles on the Switch. An example would be Alien Isolation, and for me, this would be one to avoid. Last but not least, then we have Agony, which is a first-person survival game set in and around hell. And when it dropped by 90%, I should imagine many of you thought, wow, I'm gonna snap that one right up. Well done. Save your cash and just don't. There are much better titles. I mean, look, you've got Sheep Patrol, that's only 39 cents. I think that's a better game. Timberman Versus, 19 cents. Yes, please. Agony, no thank you very much. I have enough agony of my own right now. A big thanks to all of you who watch the channel. Please do subscribe if you enjoy the content, and we shall be bringing you a few more live streams while we're all in lockdown to hopefully raise your spirits. It was great to see over 1,000, 1.5 thousand of you drop into our live stream the other day. If you missed it, there's a link down in the description so that you can go and check that out. A big thanks to our patrons who support us each and every month. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!